South, the series, is an audiobook production. It contains subject material not suited for a younger audience. Listener discretion is advised. South, the Pinewood High School incident, is the telling of an unfortunate soul, a young girl lost to the whims of society. We follow the story of Cassidy Learman, a Pinewood High School student, as she finds herself stumbling down a dark and dangerous path. In Allura Shores, corporations control your every thought. It is a place where governments decide where you live and who you talk to, where the best parts of humanity are stripped away, turning the innocent into the monsters we fear the most. The path of darkness is broad and inviting. A banquet of thieves ready to take all you have. Hold true to your beliefs. If you are not careful, someone will replace them with their own. In the previous chapter, we take a small look into the life of Penelope as she goes throughout her day, her interaction with her fellow witches not providing her relief from the guilt of what they had did to Cassidy. After deliberating with the other girls, they all agreed to continue on with their plans to spread the gifted meat product during the homecoming game. Penelope is basically threatened by the others to keep her outbursts to herself, while Lydia warns them all of someone working against them from the shadows. Penelope is able to steal away from the coven and return home thanks to a rideshare she didn't much approve of, and resolved herself to a night alone, the likes of which is cut short by the acknowledgement of a home intruder. The lights are cut, and Penelope tries desperately to escape her attacker, but she fails and is confronted by her worst nightmare. She is attacked and knocked unconscious, coming to in the garage of her family's home and having a direct confrontation with none other than Cassidy. It seems as though Cassidy managed to get the demon called Ander back, but at a significant loss to her mental state. Doing her best to use the Witch of Wrath's disability against her, Penelope talks her into freeing her from the chair she was tied to, only to be presented with the knife Cassidy was threatening to harm her with. The two girls have a moment to converse about their convictions, and when the time finally comes for their showdown, both give their all to continue onward with the other's life as the prize. The wages of one of the girls has been paid. Now we return to the story, where the victor of the altercation prepares themselves for the next step. Where is this story going? Let's jump back into the brewing madness and see what became of them. The early morning sunrise felt great on her skin as she took in the natural vista overlooked by many in Pinewood. The creek, deep in the Pinewood wilderness, was the only place where she felt no one would bother her. It was still cold from the previous night, but that didn't seem to bother her as much as she thought it would. Perhaps it was because she was getting used to being outside, or the fact she was reinfected with the bacteria. But she felt as though she could withstand anything at that point. That was until she remembered why she was there, her face losing any semblance of peace as her mind journeyed back to a few nights ago. Her new morning routine was nothing like it was when she was at home, where she used to wash herself at her bathroom sink while glancing in the mirror to check for acne. She was now splashing creek water on her face while avoiding the monster looking back at her. Where she would be more enthusiastic to cook breakfast before school, she was now ripping open a stick of jerky while huddled against a nearby tree. As she ate, she thought on what was next for her. She was not going to make it much further, and Jerry was determined to strike back at the school with her help. She could call it off, but what would that mean for everything she'd done up to that point? Her thoughts swam alongside the aquatic life that caused the water to ripple, the tiny waves they created helping her gaze to travel across the surface to the other side to meet more trees. When it did, she remembered to check her phone. The fact that she was able to charge it again before hiding in the woods was a blessing, she thought. After turning it on and taking a moment to collect herself, she went to her messages and saw that her inbox was flooded with texts from her mother and brother. The majority of them were demands that she return home, but others were of complete sadness and regret. She would do it. She would call them and tell them that she's fine. But what would that matter, given all the things she had done? Putting the thought away, she decided to check her voicemail instead, giving into the thought that if she heard their voices, it would help with the hurt. Before she could, however, she caught the eye of a deer approaching from across the creek. It didn't notice her, its slender frame approaching the water with a cautious determination. She watched it drink, and when it was done, wander off back into the woods. With it, her curiosity as to if she could ever be as innocent again. When she called into her voicemail, she was greeted with 47 new messages. The volume of concern they were showing her made her feel every bit of guilt she knew she deserved, but she needed to listen. It wasn't fair for her to take so much from them over the years and not give them the courtesy of hearing them out one last time. She pressed play and braced for the incoming criticism. It wasn't aggression she heard in the first voice, however. It was the tone of someone who was losing a loved one. "Cassidy," Martha's voice helped the first tear stream down Cassidy's cheek. "I pray that you're doing well, sweetheart. The last time we spoke, I thought that I was going to be able to gain your trust, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I'm not going to preach to you or tell you something you already know. I wanted to tell you that no matter what happens, we love you. I'm sure that your mother and brother are going to say some things that you will not want to hear, but there is something that I need to say. Take it for what it is, and don't let your emotions get the better of you. There was a time when I wasn't a believer, you know. I didn't grow up with anything close to a family like you did, but I didn't let that get to me. I worked hard to overcome the negative life I was born with, but I still felt like I was missing something. I was told at that time that there would be nothing I could do to change, that I would end up the same as my mother and her mother before her. That wasn't true, Cassidy. Not for me, your mother, or you. I managed to get through my childhood drama, and at the time, I thought that it was by my own power. But I learned later on that it wasn't because of anything I did. When I was in my early 20s, I found out that I was pregnant with Christina, and I was scared. I didn't want her to grow up like I did. So I hid from everyone I knew and became depressed. I had given up on everything I had ever hoped to become, to take care of my daughter, and that began to change the way I thought. Instead of protecting her, I began to hate her. It got so bad that I began to think of ways to hurt her. I couldn't bring myself to look in the mirror. I was so ashamed at how I felt, how easily I was willing to give into my thoughts. It wasn't long after that point in my life that I met my husband. He helped me find God, and I changed the way I thought about my life. Having an extra pair of hands with a toddler was a welcome boon, but it was more than that. I realized that it wasn't that I didn't have a man in my life. Rather, it was because I tried to do everything on my own that I was suffering the hell I created for myself. That's the trick, Cassidy. We create our own hells. Our own demise comes at the behest of our own ways of thinking. I know that you miss her, your friend Amber. We saw the report that she was pronounced dead. Don't let this lead you down a terrible path. Life is random and painful at times. Nothing we do physically will change that. There is a way to pad the blows, however. All we need to do is lean on the promise that was given to us. The good news is that as long as we stay faithful and do what is commanded, we will have eternity with the Lord, our God, through Jesus Christ. None of that is cliche, Cassidy. When we hold true to Jesus' teachings, we change our thinking from there is no hope to we have the victory. Please, Cassidy, don't let the enemy lead you to abandon the truth. You are not alone, not in this or whatever may come. So don't act in a way that would make you a victim of your own creation. We are flawed as humans. Our thinking is selfish and short-sighted. We abuse each other in pursuit of gain and prosperity. There's nothing good in the flesh, but in Christ, we are redeemed and renewed. I love you, granddaughter. Please come back home. The tears wouldn't stop, no matter how hard she tried. Cassidy's face remained pressed to her knees as she sat by the trickling waters flowing just past her feet. Her mind raced through the past few months, an attempt to identify the precise moment she went wrong. How long had she been thinking of only herself? How many people had she harmed in pursuit of her own justice? The revenge that consumed her from the inside out. It took nearly an hour for her chest to stop hurting from heaving the cold air, and when she cleaned her face with her sleeve, she moved on to the next voice message, the one she was dreading the most. Cassidy. Arthur's voice was softer than she remembered it. Listen, Cass. I'm sorry for leaving you like that. We just needed more money, you know. We've been getting calls nonstop about you. I wish that... Cassidy, we haven't talked about him enough. When you tried to harm yourself, we should have talked more. I was scared, sis. I was afraid that I would lose control and do something stupid. You know me. I've always been the reckless one. And you were always the stronger one when it came to that stuff. When he died, I felt like I had to do something, anything, to keep us afloat. It felt as though everything fell on me because of Mom and her condition. She's been doing better, you know, but she still can't accept it all the way. Mrs. Martha had been helping her more recently, and she's even talking about going back to church. I knew she was going to go back eventually, but I didn't think that it would happen so soon. I'd been struggling with faith since I got old enough to live on my own. But there is something to all this God stuff, you know? I'm going to try to stop drinking, I think. It ain't helping me anyway. I need to stay sharp now, thanks to you. There has been so much going on lately that I didn't think about you like I should have. And I'm sorry about that. It might have seemed like I chose to run away from you when things got heated between us recently. And maybe that was partially true. But I really wanted to see about getting us to a spot where we could have a moment to enjoy each other the way we need to. I can seem a little hard at times, but I'm doing my best to keep us together. I was anyway. They took me off the landing job. The contamination was too great. So they moved us from the area until repairs could be made on the destroyed company pipes and vats. That's what private property issues get you. But I did make enough money for us to make some different changes. I talked with Mom and we agreed to sell the house. I know that's heavy news, but it'll help us get to a better place financially. I hate myself for telling you like this, but you didn't leave me any choice, did you? I know how you feel, Cassidy, but I need you to come back to us. At least for as long as they'll allow us to see each other. They found her body, Cassidy. They said that you stabbed her 47 times and wrote stuff on the walls with her blood. I'm not going to lie to you, sis. They're going to put you away for a long time. Please, Cassidy, don't fight them. Come back so we can figure this out together. There are ways we can prevent you from going to prison forever. Between your diagnosis and you not taking your meds like you were supposed to, we can try for an insanity plea. That's what the lawyer says anyway. I think that's it, Cass. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you when you needed. But you have to take responsibility for what you've done. I'll always be here for you and Mom, just like Dad was for all of us. Come home and give Mom a hug. She's not doing any better without you, okay? I love you. Cassidy, you're my sister, and I won't leave you alone anymore. It was close to noon when Cassidy began her walk. She didn't know where she was going. Her mind was scrambled from hearing the confessions of her loved ones. She thought it strange that they would choose to be so nice to her after everything she had done. Although Martha would have liked it to work that way, Cassidy was sure that no amount of prayer was going to fix what was done. She contemplated how deep she was into getting revenge, how, if she stopped now, what that would mean for her to spend the rest of her life in prison. She returned to her phone to continue listening to the messages, the next voicemail causing her to audibly gasp when played. Hey, sweetie, it's Mom. I was hoping that I could hear your voice again, but maybe you'll hear this message. I wanted to tell you now that I love you. I know that we had our differences, but you're still my daughter, and I'll never forget that. They're all looking for you now, your brother, Kimberly, and the police. If you're hearing this, could you just let us know if you're still okay? I'm scared, Cassidy. I don't know what I'm going to hear in the next minute, let alone the next second. I know that you're scared too, but I'm here for you, okay? The news is saying all sorts of things about you that I know isn't true. That you stole information from the port authorities and have been working with cyber criminals. They're bringing up the footage of you attacking those people and that horse again, too. I don't care about what they say, Cassidy. I only care about you. Please tell me that you're okay. If you're trying to run away or hiding somewhere, just tell me, okay? I'm not going to try to stop you, but I can't stop worrying about you. When you were a little girl, you would try so hard to work me and your dad over for the things you wanted. Toys, games, staying up late. I remember one time when your dad gave in to your whining the night before church. He had you both up eating snacks and watching movies, all because you told him that you had a nightmare. He did so much for us when he was alive, and I loved him so much, just like I love you. Don't let your anger ruin that memory, baby. Don't let your father see you like this. I'm going to pray for you, that you come back home safe, and that we figure out what to do about, To be honest, I don't think that I can get through this alone, baby. When your dad died, I thought about it too, You beat me to the punch, though, and it made me realize that I was wrong to think like that. I still have a long way to go, sweetheart. But I can't do it without you. Please. Cassidy, please don't hurt yourself or anyone else. Whatever they did to you, you have to forgive them, or you'll never find peace. I know that this world can be cruel, But we have to tough it out, okay? Not just because someone we can't see told us to, but because it doesn't make sense to give up. While we're alive, we have the ability to change. We can adapt and grow while getting bruised. It hurts, baby. But like Miss Martha says, as long as we have the Lord on our side, we'll be all right. I wish that I knew God better. I might have had better words for you, but I'll work on that. Maybe we can work on that together and get back to like how we were before your dad. Cassidy, please come home. She remained in the woods as the sun made its journey towards the west, the world and its woes passing her by as afternoon turned into early evening. She watched the birds play out their drama through the treetops, overlooking the kingdom-building efforts of the few insects preparing for the winter cold. There were squirrels dashing past them both, gathering what they could amongst the ballet of creatures, all of them playing their role in God's masterpiece. It was her phone that broke her from the performance, a final voice to cut through the cacophony of critters mindlessly doing what their programming compelled them to enact. Hello, Cassidy. Jerry didn't sound like she used to, choosing to speak to her in a gentler tone. Things have really shaped up for us in the last few hours. The school has finished their setup of the homecoming game. Your coven has received their shipment of products to sell tonight for the concessions, and it looks like there's going to be a large turnout. It's everything the school and Southern Cuts has been looking forward to. This is it, Cassidy. We're going to stop their plans and save as many people as we can. She didn't look as enthused with the news. She knew that the coven was nothing but an arm of a corporation, but the end goal was something else entirely. The experiment was well on its way to being tested, with the majority of the attendees of the game being infected with the same bacteria that was in her, but the why of it kept eluding her. Given everything that she had come to know about the bacteria, it was possible for it to turn a person into a puppet, much like James. It had all seemed like too large an operation to stop by themselves. Lydia, a monster in her own right, didn't seem to be confident for no reason. And then there were the other witches. There's going to be a larger increase of people buying the meat product tonight. If we act fast, we can cause enough chaos to stop the sale and... Are you listening to me, Cassidy? I don't know if we should do this, Jerry. Her head was hurting a little from the stress. I mean, I just killed Penny. I know what I said, but I didn't think that I would do that. I didn't think that I could do that. I see. Jerry didn't seem as upset like Cassidy had hoped. I think you need to be reminded of why we're here. You're not too far from the nearby park. It's about a 20-minute walk. Do me a favor and follow the trail towards it. We'll talk along the way. Cassidy did as she was told and found herself marching again, much like she did when she was with Chip, through the wilderness. She listened to the gentle swaying of the trees as Jerry spoke, the woman's speech missing its original edge as she shared more details about her life. She talked about how, before she became a hacker, she worked with her family at a corner store. They never made enough to support themselves, so she decided to learn how to make money using the internet. When she reached the marsh, Jerry had her take a seat while she continued her exposition. That ended up working for me, you know. The woman was sounding more sincere than Cassidy had noticed before. I was able to help them get the business back on track, but it was for nothing. It was found out that I stole the money, and they shut the business down. I was kicked out of the family after that, even with my good intentions. No one wanted a criminal showing up with presents at Christmas they couldn't verify were legit. That might not mean anything to you yet, but there's more to the story. They're looking for me, Jerry. Cassidy threw a rock between some trees. Everything is falling apart, and I don't know if I can keep doing this. They tried to kill me, and I'm angry about that, but my family needs me. I think that I'm done. I need to turn myself in. Remember when I told you that there was money and information? Jerry didn't acknowledge her statement. Even though my family wanted nothing to do with me, I ended up finding solace in the fact that I was able to walk on my own. You mentioned many times before that you wanted power over the things that were happening to you. I found that through what I do now. You found that through your witchcraft and the algae. Now that you have your power, you should use it to right the wrongs that have been done to you. But look at me, Jerry. I'll never be able to see my family again. Cassidy placed her hands to her face to prevent more tears from falling. Yeah, that's right. You won't. Jerry confirmed her conviction. But that doesn't mean that you get to mope around like you don't have a purpose. You called yourself a Christian before, right? Well, think about what God said concerning power. It's been given to you, right? So use it to fix what's wrong. Cassidy looked at the marsh and thought about Martha's words from earlier. She was a woman that took control of her ruined life by changing the situation with her own hands. Sure, she thanked God for it, but it was because she did what she needed to do in order to fix the problem that she came across. She thought about Jerry's continued guidance and how she was constantly pushing her to take more and more from others. Sure, Jerry was guiding her, but it was because of her own actions that allowed her to find Amber's head and begin her revenge. To her, it seemed like Jerry was right. The power was given to her to make the necessary changes she deemed right. So, it's because I identified a problem in my life that I am able to fix it through my own efforts? Cassidy lifted her head to the sky to receive the revelation. You can take what you want from this world. That is your power. Jerry's familiar smile seeped through the phone. That's what it means to walk the path we choose, Cassidy. Look at the marsh to your left. You have the power to kill all the life in it. The fish, the insects that call it home, have to give themselves up to your will. It's the same with the ones that killed Amber. You have the ability to take their lives because you have the power to make them your victims. Don't let them use their power to do to others what you're going to do to them. Cassidy could feel herself warming up to the idea of enacting her revenge again. But there was still more to consider. her brother's situation with losing out on the money that they needed to keep the house, the one constant that she expected to remain, even after she had committed to her revenge, was going to disappear. The history of her family, of her father, was going to be erased as easily as though they were never there to begin with. The thought alone made her shiver with anger, but there seemed to be nothing for it. What about them? Cassidy tried pulling herself from the thought. What will happen to my brother and mother? We're losing the house, from what I heard, and my dad. If I do this, then they'll be left alone to deal with my choices. I can't do that to them, can I? I can't cause them to suffer because of me. Jerry was silent for a moment, the silence allowing Cassidy to think more on what her family told her. The option didn't weigh well in Jerry's favor, but Cassidy didn't dismiss the secretive woman's logic either. She knew that tonight was going to be a pivotal moment in the history of Pinewood, of Allura Shores, but was she the only arbiter available to usher in such change? You know what you saw, Cassidy. The gentler tone evaporated from Jerry's tongue. What does it mean to live forever? Like with God? Cassidy tried. That was the opening pitch for the investors' town hall meeting for the Cadwell Company 9 years ago. The company unveiled its 10-year project with partnering companies to promote longevity goals. The pitch was that in the coming years, there would be a push for healthy living through the experimental means, a way for us to continue living our consumer lifestyles without sacrificing the quality we enjoy. They wanted us to imagine a world where we could use skincare products without worrying if they break out our skin or be tested using animals. A world where we would be able to eat all the meat we wanted without killing a single creature. It was all too good to be true in the past, but thanks to Jerome Cadwell, it's become a reality. The algae was never just a bacteria. It was everything needed to create this utopia. The only catch was that the company needed approval from state and federal government to begin mass production. After World War II, Jerome tried to get that approval for consumer products, but he was shot down. So he worked on it in secret all these years until now. He managed to cultivate a desire for it through his company Cadmart and through advertisement campaigns since the 50s. I only learned about him a few years ago when I was working with my family, but now we're looking at the start of the greatest corporate takeover the world has ever seen. Your teacher, Lydia, do you know what she stands to gain from all of this? Money, right? Cassidy let her naivety show. Eternity. The algae in your body right now is only the first step in a chain of tests that, ultimately, will lead to the development of processes that will allow a person to control the cells in their body. You know how you can heal rapidly without really knowing why? Imagine being able to have that app on your phone that'll give you the key to increasing muscle mass or losing weight on demand. What about reversing your age or skin imperfections? All possible with what Jerome has been developing. Your teacher, and many like her, have opted into being the first ones to receive the treatments when it's ready. That's why, Cassidy's thoughts traveled back. When we would be in the meetings, she would always promote the company's products. You were never finding true power with them. You were only being used as an experiment. Your coven, the school, and after tonight, the entire city. Cassidy felt it again, the memory of rage that stirred up the demon within her. Jerry had given her enough to go off of, enough information to justify their actions. But her mother's final words seemed to cut through the building anger. This world was cruel and unforgiving, but she had refuge from it before. It wasn't perfect, but her family was the only thing she felt she had that helped her deal with life's blows. Was she ready to give that up to save the world? She felt the demon clawing away at the thought, forcing its way into her mother's memory to tear the doubt away. I hate them. She agreed with it. I want them to suffer for what they did to me, what they're trying to do to everyone else. I want them to stay away from my family and my city. After everything, it looks like we're the only ones that can fix this mess. They wanted to kill me, so they deserve to die. Jerry, my family is going to need to be protected from what's about to happen. Promise me. Promise me that you'll make sure they live on in peace. I'll keep them safe. Jerry's forwardness startled Cassidy a little. Like I mentioned, Cass, there are ways to get what we want. All we have to do is speak, and we get them. Say it. Ask me what you want, and I'll grant it to you. Just remember that when you do, you'll have to do what I say to keep it. Cassidy closed her eyes and listened to the crickets chirp as she collected her thoughts. I want my family's home to be saved. I want my dad's memory to continue. I don't want to forget him. Done, Jerry promised. Tell my mom and Arthur that I love them. She let her tears fall to the cold earth beneath her. I want my mom to get the help she needs, and for my brother to find another job. I'll make sure that they are able to take care of themselves, Jerry acknowledged. Martha, Cassidy hugged herself. I want her and Reverend Jacobs to be okay too. They're going to be taking care of my mom while I'm gone. The church is a tricky place for me to operate in, but I'll do what I can, Jerry gave her word. Cassidy felt a little relief at Jerry's promises. Even if she wouldn't be able to grant all of her requests, she felt as though she was the only one she could place her trust in. It was because of Jerry's influence that she was able to get more out of her situation than she would have from anyone else, even from Kimberly. Although she was annoyed with her at every turn, the woman that was also known as Jessamine was the greatest asset she managed to stumble upon, even though she had led her to dark and scary places. When she felt more secure in her choices, Cassidy collected herself and took in the natural vista one last time. Where she was going, she knew that she would not be able to see such sights in person again. I'm ready, Jerry. Cassidy gave a slight grin to the stale waters. Let's go take down a corporation. Cassidy has committed herself to enacting her revenge against the Coven and their plot. With the lives of the game attendees and student body in her hands, we will find out exactly what she and Jerry plan to do next time. Thank you again for listening to South, the Pinewood High School Incident. If you like what you heard, please leave a like and subscribe for more. This is the second to last chapter of the book, and I have to thank you again for sticking with me this far. If you want, you can find and follow me on the following social media platforms: YouTube, Wesley the Writer, X @the Writer Wesley, and I'll be updating my Gmail soon, so you'll be able to send me emails if you wish. Thank you so much, and let's get ready for the conclusion to Book 1 of South, the series. We'll catch back up with the story next time, but until then, remember, the mind is the battlefield. Be careful to which side you give aid. Later.